Hello everyone, welcome to this quick video presentation on the IRIS introduction and background. This video is part of the IRIS Institute contains the information of IRIS. My name is Swati Sangle. I am working as the IT consultant with the CDC Foundation supporting data for health initiative activities in India. I support MCGM cause of death activities and MCCD training activities through the Unit for Strengthening Cause of Death Data based at Tata Memorial Center. In this video, I am going to explain about IRIS Institute, IRIS Partner and about IRIS. Let me first start by explaining about the IRIS Institute. The IRIS Institute is an international corporation for the provision, maintenance and further development of IRIS software for the electronic coding of causes of death. The increasing international interest in the IRIS software has made it necessary to provide an institutional foundation to secure the supply and support of the IRIS software. In the logo, the rainbow is indicated by the curved lines. There are 5 lines representing the 5 countries that founded the IRIS Institute. IRIS Institute Partners. Here, the abbreviation DIMD stands for German Institute of Medical Documentation and Information. BFARM stands for Federal Institute for Drugs and Medical Devices. DIMD and BFARM have been merged. The secretariat is hosted by BFARM from 26 May 2020 onwards. The development of IRIS was supported by Eurostat, the statistical office of the European Union. The cooperating partners from France, Italy, Hungary and Sweden approached the DIMD with the request to establish the IRIS Institute. Also, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Netherlands, USA, England and Wales collaborate as the core group in the development of IRIS. Sweden was involved for more than 20 years in the development of IRIS and was part of the core group until the end of 2016. Statistic Canada is a candidate of the core group since September 2021. Let me explain need of IRIS system to develop. In order to efficiently manage a healthcare system, absolute clarity is required when it comes to electronic data exchange and reliable statistical data. The German government has tasked DIMD with publishing, maintaining and providing such a terminology systems. This can only be achieved by applying standardized terminology systems such as classification, nomenclatures and thesauri as well as international standards. Further development of this software is carried out in international cooperation by the IRIS Institute, which is a part of DIMD. In doing so, DIMD also operates as part of an international network. So, DIMD developed the IRIS. Now, I am going to explain what is IRIS. IRIS is an electronic system used for the standardized coding of causes of death and for selecting the underlying cause of death. IRIS is used to provide a system in which the language-dependent aspects are separated from the software itself. The language-dependent parts are stored in database tables and can easily be modified. The picture shows user interface of IRIS software. It can be used in batch or interactively. Objectives of IRIS. The aim was to develop a common mortality coding system that could be used for coding death certificates in any language. In that sense, it constitutes a bridge between the language, which is local, and the ICD mortality coding instructions, which are international. The name of IRIS for software because of the association with message bearing and bridging. It's simple The IRIS Institute goals is to continue to improve international cause of death statistics. Here I give you brief information about the IRIS. Before that, you have to know terms. The abbreviation ICD-10 stands for International Statistical Classification of Diseases and Health-Related Problems of 10th Revision, and WHO stands for World Health Organization. Now, IRIS developed to improve international comparability. IRIS is based on the International Death Certificate form provided by WHO in Volume 2 of ICD-10 WHO, and the causes of death are coded according to the ICD-10 rules, such as ICD-10 WHO is available in various versions and formats in German language and was updated every 3 years. The currently valid version is effective from the beginning of a new year until the release of a new version. Volume 2 contains the instruction manual consisting of a general introduction to ICD, the encoding rules for mortality and morbidity, numerous encoding examples, and an overview of the history of the classifications. Updates to ICD-10 are included according to the WHO timelines. IRIS component is main part of the IRIS software. The IRIS software uses components of the MMDS and Muse. MMDS stands for Mortality Medical Data System. Since version 4, the IRIS software uses components of the MMDS of US National Center for Health Statistics. Second is Muse. Muse stands for Multi-Causal and Unicausal Selection Engine. The IRIS software uses the Muse function since version 5. The Muse operates based on internationally agreed decision tables that reflect most recent version of ICD-10. Components of IRIS that were based on the former NCHS MMDS have been replaced with new versions developed by the IRIS Institute. The figure in slide shows information of IRIS, like IRIS released version, release date, IRIS core group partner countries, and declaration of ICD-10 codes used as per WHO guidelines, etc. The abbreviation ICD-11 stands for International Classification of Diseases 11th Revision. IRIS Institute is currently working on a project plan for the transition of IRIS from ICD-10 to ICD-11, including timelines, resources, etc. In June 2018, WHO released a version of ICD-11 for starting programs for implementation. ICD-11 was adopted in May 2019 at the 72nd World Health Assembly of the WHO. In mortality, the ICD coding is performed with the use of automated coding systems, mainly IRIS. It is necessary to assess the needs for transitioning to ICD-11 before engaging in a full implementation project. IRIS Institute prepared a strategy for the development and maintenance of IRIS in light of preparing implementation of ICD-11. The IRIS core group compiled a strategy for the near, mid-term and long-term future. The strategy not only aligns to the main priorities that have driven the IRIS development from the beginning but will consider current and foreseeable future requirements of health information management and enhanced use of mortality health data. Now you know IRIS software uses many countries and involved into development also. Therefore, user interfaces are available into different languages like Czech, English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. Apart from the existing adaptations, the IRIS interfaces can be translated in any language. You can create your own dictionary and standardizations in your language, or you ask other countries if there is a dictionary available in your language. IRIS versions are available on the IRIS Institute website. The download area of the IRIS Institute contains the released version of the IRIS software, decision table updates, IRIS manual, and IRIS interfaces. IRIS software contains the latest version of the IRIS that includes the updated unicausal and multi-causal tables. Table updates gives you updates in Muse table through version 5 and MMDS since version 4. IRIS manuals provides some guides for the use of IRIS. IRIS user interfaces provide some user interfaces in different languages translated by users. The download is free of charge. IRIS News informs you about updates and corrections during the year. IRIS users. The use of IRIS has started in many countries. Countries that have acquired some knowledge in the use of IRIS can help other countries to start their implementation process as well. Therefore, IRIS Institute asks the users of IRIS to share some information on their status of implementation. In the table, you will find information about the IRIS users that these have shared with IRIS Institute. This table doesn't have any claim of completeness and up-to-dateness. As shown in the table, some countries are fully implemented for routine coding. Some countries uses testing or coding purposes. IRIS organizes IRIS user group meeting each year. At the meeting, the participants report about their experiences and plans with IRIS. The participants have the opportunity to share their experiences at the meeting, and they can also gain new insights into processes in other countries. IRIS support. This slide gives you a brief overview of the help you receive from the IRIS Institute. IRIS is maintained by the IRIS core group in the realm of the IRIS Institute. The maintenance supported by the member countries of the IRIS core group can only be limited and restricted to the basic updates necessary and will not cover the implementation in other countries. In order to give users the opportunity to contribute to the maintenance and update of the IRIS system and thereby guarantee the long-term availability of the IRIS software, a support model was put in place. IRIS newsletter, called as IRIS News, informs you about the latest news concerning IRIS. Newsletter provides information of IRIS user group meetings, IRIS trainings, updates of IRIS versions, and decision tables, etc. Contributing to the IRIS development by arranging the support, IRIS will give you two advantages. First advantage is give support to IRIS system. You will help to guarantee availability and up-to-date software that is adapted to ICD updates and software evolvements. Second is receive support from IRIS system. Additional benefits will help you to implement IRIS in your country. All financial support received by the IRIS Institute will be used to maintain, update, and further evolve the IRIS software. As shown in the table, there are two levels of support, Support Model 1 and Support Model 2 with respect to services information. References. The information presented in the video comes mainly from the IRIS website that is available on the link presented on the slide. Please consider looking at the website for further information on IRIS, how it is maintained, the countries implementing IRIS, and engaged in the core group, and any other questions you may have. Information presented in this video on WHO ICD-10 comes from WHO ICD website that is available on the link presented on the slide. The website includes information on various ICD versions including ICD-11, which I also mentioned in this presentation. Please consider looking at this website for information on ICD-10, ICD-11 and any questions you might have about the various versions of mortality classification system. Thank you.